Hello future CAs, welcome back to my channel again, your one-stop guide for everything related to CA exams. So ICAI has finally revealed how to score 80 plus in CA final IBS. But most students are still missing these key insights. So in this video, I'll break down the most important strategies that was shared in the BOS fortnight webinar so that you can approach the IBS paper like a topper. So let's get started. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe for more CA exam related guidance, tips and strategies. So previously I have made various videos on strategies for IBS, how to analyze case study, how to prepare for Group 1 and self-paced online module from IBS viewpoint, how to answer MCQ and descriptive question, and also AFM important topics from IBS viewpoint and many other videos. So I have made a separate playlist for this and the link of the playlist has been given in the description below. Please do check it out. So the first point discussed in this webinar was the study strategy for IBS paper. So since you will be giving group 2, DT and IDT will already get covered in this. So the smart approach for this will be from group 1 subject pick any 2 subjects. Whether it is FR and AFM or FR and audit, whichever you are comfortable with, study that in depth. So DT and IDT anyhow you will study. Then any 2 subjects from group 1 you will study in depth. Then for the remaining subjects at least build conceptual clarity. Because anyhow IBS is an open book exam, but you should have conceptual clarity. Then only you will be able to refer the topics in the book correctly. So the first strategy is to study DT, IDT thoroughly and any 2 subjects from the group 1. And for the other subjects have the conceptual knowledge. The next topic discussed in this webinar was how to use open book effectively. So to use the open book effectively, it is very important that you know the concepts beforehand. And you should also be aware as to where the topics are located. Otherwise in the exam hall you will waste time searching for the topics. And even if you find the answers, applying them becomes difficult. Hence, conceptual clarity is a must. Even though this is open book paper, you must have conceptual clarity of all the topics. The next topic discussed was commonly committed errors in this exam. So, one of the most commonly committed error was ignoring this self-paced online module set A and set B. Both of these are very, very important. Many students ignore this and this is a big mistake. So this set B builds conceptual understanding and it relates to applying strategic decisions and most of the case studies are based on strategic models. That's why set B is very important. And set A covers corporate governance. So the topics included are appointment of directors, remuneration, independent directors, board meeting, etc. Ignoring these topics means losing 35 marks, that is 30% of the paper. And also depending on the case given in hand, questions may come from like Forex, FEMA and customs if foreign operations are involved. Or if the company is listed, the question may be relating to SEBI LODR. Or if it's a pharma company, the questions may be tested on IND-AS, that is intangible assets. And if it's group companies, then question may be relating to related party transactions. So please go through these topics thoroughly. The next point discussed in the webinar was exam strategy for case studies. So first time management was discussed. So totally you have 4 hours time and totally 5 case studies will be given. In that you have to attempt any 4 case study. So actually you should take only 45 minutes per case study and balance time whatever will be left you should use for revision purpose. The next point discussed in the webinar was the step-by-step case study approach. That is whatever case study will come in the exam, how you should understand the case study step by step. So while reading the case study, first understand the business context. That is the mission, vision and the objectives of the company. These are very important. And generally these will be mentioned in the case study. So go through this and keep this in mind because without this you won't be able to advise. Next is you have to identify the challenges and constraints given in the case study. This is the next most important step. because once you identify the problem correctly, then the answer will flow automatically. Then step number 3 will be identify the key stakeholders. Because every decision impacts employees, customers, investors, etc. For example, if you are giving any suggestion to reduce the employees, this will affect the employee morale. So as an alternative, you can suggest reduce working hours. Then step number 4 is generate strategic options. So first you will have to see what is the vision, mission and objectives. Then you will identify the challenges and constraints. Then you will identify the key stakeholders. Then based on all this, you will have to generate strategic options. So here you will have to apply different models, that is strategic models, such as SWOT analysis, McKinsey models, Porter 5 forces model, etc. And also step number 5 is to evaluate the financial impact. So whatever suggestion you are giving, you have to see how it will impact the cost, profitability, working capital, etc. Then step number 6 is check the legal and regulatory compliance as well. So you have to check compliance with GST, income tax, Ind AS. Sometimes even simple decisions like corporate guarantee can trigger GST implications. Then step number 7 is to consider ethics and governance. So you have to consider all these factors while reading the case study. The next important point discussed in the webinar was step-by-step approach to solve the case study. So now let's understand the most important part of this subject. That is how to actually solve a case study in the exam. Because it was noticed that many students know the concepts but they struggle with application. So here's a clear step-by-step framework that you should follow. So step number 1 is read and decode the case. So IBS case studies are lengthy and the information is heavy. So as we discussed in the earlier topic, step by step you have to decode the case study. So read this case carefully. If required in your answer sheet itself, make a rough sheet, write down as working notes and you can write the key points here. And also if permitted, underline the important information in the question. So the objective of this is to break down the case, identify relevant facts and make it easy to recall during answer writing. So this is like decoding the case study. Then step number 2 is identify relevant models and concepts. So once you understand this, think about which strategic model to apply, whether it's McKinsey model, Porter's 5 forces model or any other strategic model or business frameworks. So ask yourself, which model best fits this situation? What framework will help structure my answer? So this will help you to bring structure and clarity to your analysis. Then step number 3 will be analyze financial viability. So now move on to numbers and practicality. So once the suggestion is in your mind, you have to ask yourself, is this strategy financially feasible? What will be the cost impact? How much working capital is required? What about the inventory requirements and so on? So your suggestions must make business sense. Step number 4 is check compliance and governance. So this is where most of the students lose marks. So every recommendation that you are suggesting to the client must be checked for legal compliance, regulatory approvals, government requirements. Example, if you appoint a commission agent in US, you have to think whether does it comply with the applicable laws? Are there any limits on payments? Or is there any prior approval required? So never give a recommendation without checking compliance. Then step number 5, build a justified recommendation. Now combine everything, that is strategic logic, financial impact, compliance requirement and present your answer like, I recommend option so and so because, and then you should continue your answer like this. You should write what is your recommendation and why you are recommending it. And also include the financial implication, operational implication and regulatory compliance. So your answer should reflect complete business thinking. Then step number 6, give a clear and strong conclusion. So this is where you differentiate yourself. So avoid giving a confusing conclusion or don't give multiple unclear options. Your conclusion should be clear, direct and well justified. So one important insight here is your recommendation is an opinion. Remember, you are acting as a consultant and your recommendation is based on knowledge, analysis and judgment. So it may or may not be accepted by the management and that's completely okay. Because the board takes the final decision and you provide independent professional advice. So whenever you are solving any case study, you must think like a CEO, a consultant or a decision maker. The next topic discussed was some students asked a query. What to do if the case study is from an industry that they are not familiar with? So in this it was mentioned that even if the case study is from a different industry, please do not panic. Because the concepts remain same like GST, income tax, FEMA, Ind AS. So if you know the concepts, even if the industry is unfamiliar, try to apply those concepts and solve the case study. The next point discussed in this webinar was 3 levels of assessment. So for descriptive question, there will be 3 levels of assessment. So let's go and see what are these 3 levels. So these are the 3 levels based on which the assessment will be done for the descriptive type. So level 1 will be comprehension and knowledge based questions. So these questions will start with the words like define, describe, distinguish, explain, identify, illustrate, list, state, outline, understand or recognize. So in level 1 you will have to explain as it is. There is no much analysis required here. Now let's see level 2. So level 2 type of question is analysis and application based question. So in this the questions will start with the words like analyze, discuss, compare and contrast, develop, examine, monitor, prioritize, produce, align, communicate. Or they might also ask you for some computation. So in that case the questions will begin with words like apply, calculate, demonstrate, determine, perform, prepare, reconcile, record, use and conduct. So level 2 is based on financial factors only. So for example, if there is a question and you are analyzing if pull model or push model which is profitable. So that type of question will come under level 2 question. Next we have level 3 question. So this is based on evaluation and synthesis. So in level 3 the questions will start with the words like advise, evaluate, recommend. So in level 3 judgmental thinking also is required. So in this level non-financial factors also have to be considered. So an example of a non-financial factor to be considered while making a decision about choosing a supplier. So suppose you are making a decision about choosing a supplier for your company. A non-financial factor to be considered will be supplier reliability and reputation. So even if the supplier offers lowest price, it's critical to assess their track record for timely delivery, consistency in product quality and responsiveness to issues. For instance, there is a supplier who delivers late frequently or provides defective goods can disrupt production and damage customer relationships, which is far more costly in the long run than paying a slightly higher price to a reliable supplier. So in level 3, along with financial factors, you will have to consider non-financial factors also to give the decision. Also, if the question has word as evaluate, that means first you will have to give the pros and cons, that is the advantages and disadvantages both have to be stated and then you have to give the decision or conclusion. And mostly in the exam, questions will be asked from level 2 or level 3 itself. So the next point discussed in this webinar was the solution structure. So step number 1, calculations. So start by identifying and performing all the required calculations accurately. Step number 2, compare with the recognized benchmark. So when you are evaluating the performance, compare it with the past performance or industry benchmarks and best standards. So this will help you to judge whether the company is performing well or it needs improvement. Step number 3, root cause analysis. So don't just identify the problem, analyze why it happened and focus on the underlying issues. Example, system gaps, lack of control and not just the error itself. Then step number 4 is recommendation. So suggest practical solution to fix the root cause. So the recommendation should help prevent the recurrence of the issue, that is better checks, controls, etc. Step number 5 is conclusion. So end your answer with a clear final view, summarizing performance and suggested actions. So your answer should follow a logical flow, that is calculation, comparison, diagnosis, recommendation and conclusion. So this logical flow will lead to a high scoring answer. The next point discussed in the webinar was the different types of MCQ questions that will be asked in the exam. So basically 4 different types of MCQs may come in this exam. The first one is MCQ with multiple correct answers. So these questions have more than one correct option. You need to select all the correct options to get full marks. Partial answers usually don't get you any marks. The next type of MCQ that might come in this exam is assertion reasoning. That is, 2 statements are provided. The first one is an assertion and a reason. You must judge if both are correct and whether the reason actually explains the assertion. And the third type of MCQ which might come in this exam is not type MCQ. That is, these are negatively framed question. Example, which of the following is not true? Such questions test your attentiveness and understanding of exceptions. And the fourth type of MCQ that might come in this exam is most likely MCQs. So these ask for best possible answer in the given scenario. So there may be multiple seemingly correct options, but only one is most appropriate based on professional judgment. So these varied formats test more than just rote memory. They assess critical thinking, reasoning and application skills. Being familiar with these formats can help you avoid common mistakes and increase accuracy in the exam. So now we will see an example of the 4 different type of MCQ that we just now discussed. So for this I have taken a case scenario question in the audit context. So let us read the case scenario. You are conducting a statutory audit of XYZ Limited, a manufacturing company. During your audit, you observe that the company recognizes revenue on dispatch of goods, even though some goods are lying in the warehouse awaiting shipment. The company has not yet transferred the risk and rewards of ownership to the customer. So the first MCQ here, this is multiple correct answer type MCQ. So let's see the question here. Which of the following are valid audit procedures to address the revenue recognition issue at XYZ Limited? Option A, inspect the dispatch records and compare with sales invoices. Option B, verify if the goods in transit are included in the inventory. Option C, confirm revenue cutoff by checking post year-end sales. Option D, send external confirmations to verify dispatch terms. So in this case, option A, C and D, these 3 are relevant audit procedures to address the revenue recognition. That is, option A is inspect the dispatch records and compare with sales invoices. Then option C, confirm revenue cutoff by checking post year-end sales. And option D, sending external confirmation to verify dispatch item. These 3 are the correct answers. Whereas option B, verify if goods in transit are included in inventory, this is not related to the revenue recognition. This relates to the stock. So in this MCQ, the correct answer is option A, C and D. Now the next MCQ here, which is based on the assertion reasoning. So the assertion here is the auditor should qualify the audit report if revenue is recognized without transfer of risk and rewards. Reason: revenue can be recognized as soon as the invoice is raised, regardless of delivery terms. So following are the options here. Option A, both A and R are true. R is the correct explanation of A. Option B, both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. Option C, A is true but R is false. Option D, A is false but R is true. In this case, the correct answer is option C. That is, A is true but R is false. So the auditor should qualify the audit report if revenue is recognized without transfer of risk and reward. So A is true, but this reason is false because revenue recognition depends on transfer of risk and rewards. Now we will see the third type of MCQ, that is not type MCQ. So which of the following is not a relevant audit procedure for testing revenue cutoff? Option A, review sales return after year end. Option B, verify dispatch records near year end. Option C, confirm receivables with customers. Option D, inspect internal audit report on payroll. So in this case, the relevant audit procedure for revenue cutoff are first three. And option D is not a relevant audit procedure for revenue cutoff as this relates to payroll. So this is the not type MCQ. So for this, the answer is option D. Now we will see the fourth type of MCQ, that is most likely MCQ. What is the most likely implication if revenue is recognized prematurely? Option A, overstatement of assets. Option B, overstatement of revenue and profits. Option C, understatement of liabilities. Or option D, no impact if cash is already received. So in this case, the correct answer is option B. Because if revenue is recognized prematurely, it will lead to overstatement of revenue and profits. That is, it leads to inflated revenue and profit figures. So I hope this example has given you an idea of the four different type of MCQ that we discussed. The next point discussed in this webinar was how to tackle this exam. So various points were given which will help you to tackle this exam easily. So let's discuss each of the point. Point number 1, don't fear the length of the case study. So sometimes the case study might be lengthy, so it does not matter. Just focus on understanding what the case study is trying to tell. Sometimes not all the information is relevant. So when you read the case study and then when you read the MCQ, you will get to know that only some points of the case study are important and some might not be important. So focus on only the relevant points. Then point number 2, try to get a quick bird's eye view of the case study. So first scan the case study quickly. Get an overall idea of the concepts. Then go through the MCQ and descriptive questions quickly. So this will help you in deciding whether you can attempt the case study confidently. Point number 3, smart selection of case study. So you need to attempt 4 out of 5 case study, right? So choose the case study based on your strengths. So some case study may be relating to GST, some might be income tax, some might be on FEMA, and some might be on Ind AS. So based on your strengths, decide whichever case study you want to attempt. If you feel a case study is difficult or unfamiliar, you can skip and select the other one. Point number 4, focus on the requirement. So after you select the case study, read the case study carefully and see what the question is specifically asking. See whether it's related to strategic models, Ind AS, taxation. So this will help you to ensure your answer is relevant and to the point. Point number 5. Apply the relevant frameworks. So identify the keywords and apply the appropriate models or concepts. For example, in the question, if it's given as competitive environment, in that case, you will have to use the Porter's 5 forces model. So link the case facts to each element of the framework and then give the answer. Then point number 6, note making and highlighting. So when you are writing the answer, underline the key points, and if there is any calculation, underline the important calculation. Point number 7, structured thinking and application. So after scanning and selecting the case study, analyze properly. Apply conceptual knowledge to answer both MCQ and descriptive parts effectively. Point number 8, conceptual clarity is the base for IBS. So it's just about applying what you have already learnt, that is Ind AS, GST, tax, etc. So strong concepts will help you to solve unfamiliar case study. And lack of clarity leads to time wastage and confusion. Point number 9, important areas to focus on. So usually the commonly tested topics include Ind AS, that is relating to revenue, lease, financial instruments, impairment, etc. Then taxation, this comprises of indirect tax, direct tax, customs and FEMA. And strategic models, Porter's 5 forces model, McKinsey model, SWOT analysis, etc. So if your basics are clear, you can easily apply concepts in the exam. Point number 10, this exam tests application, not rote learning. So focus on analysis, integration and real life application. So while attempting this exam, you are expected to think like a consultant, that is a CEO, CFO or an auditor. So just searching and copy pasting from the book won't help. So it will lead to time waste and may lead to wrong application. Point number 11, structured answer writing. Your answer should be logical. You can give it in a bullet point format and it should be well structured. That is, analysis and conclusion is a must. Also avoid long unstructured paragraph, because this makes it difficult for the examiner to award marks. Point number 12, justification and logical reasoning. So always justify your answer. In descriptive question, explain why one option is chosen and why others are rejected. And also in descriptive question, use cost-benefit analysis, risk and logic to support your decision. Point number 13, holistic and multidimensional thinking. So you have to consider all the angles while drafting your answer, that is legal, financial, strategic and ethical. Ignoring any one aspect also can lead to wrong advice or real world consequences. Point number 14, ethics is crucial. So never recommend unethical actions, even for short-term gains. Long-term credibility and trust are more important than quick profits. Point number 15. So open book is only helpful if you know the concept. So carry the study material from which you have studied. So for each of the subject, whichever books you have referred while studying those subject, take those study material itself. And also carry your self-made notes and mind maps, because mind map will help you to recall the concept easily and it also helps in quick application. The next point discussed in the webinar was important strategic models or concepts. So almost 40 important strategic models were revealed in this webinar. So from which questions might come, that is case studies might be relating to these models. So what I have done is I have mentioned the name of these models in the description below. So you can either make a mind map of this or you can mark this important topic, that is in your index you can mark this in which page this is coming and in which notebook this is. So that in the exam when the question comes you will be able to quickly refer your notebooks. So for the names of this strategic model, please check the comments below. So that's it for this video. If you found this breakdown helpful and informative, please make sure to like and share the video. And also subscribe to my channel for more CA exam related strategies, tips and guidance. All the best for your preparation and I will see you all in the next video.